Good morning, everybody. I'm Randy Grissom. I'm the president of Santa Fe Community College, and we want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to especially thank Leader Pelosi and Congressman Luján for coming, seeing what we're doing in Santa Fe to train for the future jobs and to create the future business owners, especially in the fields of renewable energy and green jobs training. I got to give a special thanks to Leader Pelosi for bringing us some rain. I know your state has a drought, but we've had a drought too. And every time we do an event, we seem to get either rain or snow. So we're going to invite you back next week to see if we can do it again, if that works for you. But we're really pleased. I want to thank all the students, faculty, and staff who were so excited about what they do that they came in during spring break for this event. And that just says a lot about the dedication of our students, of our faculty, and of our staff. At this time, I want to introduce a student who's going to speak to us. August Hanel is a young student. He's both in the charter high school, the master's program on campus, but he's in Santa Fe Community College. And he's going to tell you this, but I just want to let everybody know he's going to graduate from college a week before he graduates from high school. So, August.
Good morning. I would like to start off by thanking Luke Spannenberg and Randy Grisham for giving me the opportunity to speak to you all today. I also want to give a very special thanks to Leader Nancy Pelosi for visiting our community college today. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
My name is August Hanel. I'm 17 years old and currently a senior in high school at the master's program. This is my last year at the Santa Fe Community College. In May, I will be receiving an associate's degree in sustainable technologies with a focus in biofuels, as well as a certificate in biofuels and a high school diploma. I came to the Santa Fe Community College in the second half of 9th grade in search of greater challenges and opportunities that my current high school was not providing for me. I sought an experience with hands-on learning and support, a place where I could take classes that I enjoyed and loved while being exposed to opportunities I wouldn't have experienced if I did not have a local community college. Being here at the Santa Fe Community College has prepared me for a 4-year university. I will have half of a bachelor's degree completed by the time I leave here, which will save me thousands of dollars in the future. That's the beauty of community colleges. They give good quality education at an affordable price and support people like me that want to get ahead of high school. My experiences here have opened up many opportunities for my future. I have been given the opportunity to design my own experiments, work with scientists from both Sandia National Labs and Los Alamos National Labs. The Santa Fe Community College's Biofuels Lab has become my second home, where I'm able to invent, create, and take part in research. The resources here have allowed me to invent custom parts in 3D design software and use a 3D printer to print out these parts, which I can then use for some of our biofuels research here on campus. The amount of experience I've gained here in our Sustainable Technologies program has given me the tools to be more sustainable, create different forms of renewable energies, start a business, build and design devices that reduce our ever-growing demands on oil, and more incredible lessons to accommodate our ever-changing world. One of the most important lessons that I've learned here at the Santa Fe Community College is the importance of knowledge. Knowledge truly is power, and it opens up an infinite amount of opportunities for our future. I'm not the only one whose life has been changed by what the Santa Fe Community College has to offer. I will be the first generation in my family to receive a college degree. Thank you. I'm truly grateful for all the people that have supported me over the years in this long journey. I am also very grateful for the opportunities that have been given to me here at the Santa Fe Community College. They have really changed my life forever. Thank you.
All right, August. Go ahead and take this spot with me. That's really a hard act to follow, isn't it? August, thank you so much. So I'm Kathy Keith, and I'm on the board of the Santa Fe Community College, and I have the pleasure this morning of introducing our congressman, which is sometimes an easy job to do in front of this task because he is one of us. So Congressman Luján is a native of Nambe, where he was born and raised. He is a graduate of New Mexico Highlands University. He was elected to the Public Regulation Commission in the early 2000s, and then 4 years later to the United States Congress, where he has risen quickly through the ranks there, doing a lot of hard-working committees, and now serves on the House Energy and Commerce Committee. That is, of course, fantastic for Santa Fe Community College, because we've seen this morning all the work that the college is doing in the area of energy, and we're blessed that the congressman has been very proactive on that committee in introducing legislation that can fuel the industry and the renewables sector along. So we're proud of that. We're also so grateful to Congressman Luján for everything that he's done for Santa Fe Community College. He's been very, very supportive of us. So every semester we have 6,000 students, like August, who enter our doors, 6,000 students who have a background much like Congressman Luján, coming from hardworking families in northern New Mexico. They come through these doors. Some of them are high school dropouts. Some of them are single parents. Some of them are in their 50s and 60s and coming back to this college to reskill and get new skills, learn new skills so that they can go out and get new jobs in northern New Mexico and all over the state. So the one thing they have in common is they come to Santa Fe Community College knowing that education is a way for better opportunities and a way for a better life, not only for them, but for their families as well. They all come here with that hope of a degree and of what education can do for them. And we're so blessed that Congressman Luján has always understood that and shared that hope with them, that each one of them will be successful here and will have a better quality of life because of the experience they were able to get through the community college. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce our Congressman, Luján.
Thank you, Kathy. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone here today, to have a chance to visit some of the best that New Mexico has to offer. This morning when I had a chance, or I guess it was last night, right, Mom? When I was visiting with Mom, and she said, well, what are you doing tomorrow morning, Ben? And I told her I was going to be coming to the community college with the leader to visit with students and researchers and faculty. And she said, well, I think I'd like to go with you. And she reminded me that it was back in 1983 that my father, former Speaker of the House, Ben Luján, was the chief sponsor of legislation that helped create the Santa Fe Community College. So it's just especially special for us to be here today with that reminder. And we wouldn't be in New Mexico if it wasn't traveling with family. So with me today, my sister Jackie, my niece Allison, and my brother-in-law Marvin are with us as well to help welcome the leader to Santa Fe. President Grisham, the welcome that you sent to us, Kathy, one of our board members here at the college, and August, what an amazing story as well. Someone that's changing the way that we're looking at fueling America, putting people to work, amazing research that is coming before us. We had a chance to visit with Cheney, a veteran who's working in the hydroponic gardens and showing us how to grow more produce with being smarter about the way that we're going to use our water resources, especially here in New Mexico, setting and paving the way. Isaiah, who is part of a program, also still in high school, by the way, a dual credit student, that is doing amazing work when it comes to solar, especially with thermal dynamics. And the other thing that we learned this morning is you don't just use thermal solar energy to heat buildings. Here at Santa Fe Community College, breakthrough technology where they're paving the path to also cool buildings. And then just walking out of here as August was sharing his research with us in the biofuel area. But we started today by walking through an area of the college that's near and dear to, or was near and dear to my father, with the welding program. in who was a shining star. Ace is what we term to call him. Jason, I'm sure he's around here somewhere as well, doing amazing work and showing what happens when you partner with private sector entities. Positive Energy in the solar side, Caterpillar in the welding program. That's what this is about. Santa Fe Community College paving the way as we talk about putting more people to work, creating more opportunities, and see what we can do, especially to make sure that middle-class economics is at front and center. Building a stronger middle class is what we should all be thriving for, and Santa Fe Community College represents the best of that. Earlier this week, I reintroduced the Community College Training bill that we've been working on for some years, which provides more support to be able to provide an extension of services like we saw today, building on programs that are putting people back to work and extending breakthroughs all across the country, starting right here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so it's something that I'm very proud of, as well as the clouds are lifting, the vistas are opening, and we make sure that we're showing everyone the best that New Mexico has to offer. And so with that, today was especially special that we were able to extend an invitation to Leader Nancy Pelosi to come and visit with us here in New Mexico, with many of our researchers, faculty, and students who are with us today, Madam Leader. Under the leadership of Speaker Pelosi, through a Democratic-led Congress, Leader Pelosi led an effort to double funding for Pell Grants. Leader Pelosi led an effort to cut interest rates on Stafford loans in half. The other thing that we heard about is the amount of student loan debt the students are carrying around the country, preventing them sometimes from getting into that home or taking that next step. Leader Pelosi made sure that Democrats in the Congress understood that and didn't just talk about it. Led an effort, again, to cut Stafford loan interest rates in half, increase Pell Grants, and created the American Opportunity Tax Credit to help families send their children to school. So it's a pleasure again to welcome Leader Nancy Pelosi to the state of New Mexico. If you could help me give her a warm Santa Fe welcome to New Mexico.
Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. We call him Mr. Chairman, Ben Ray Luján in Washington, D.C. It is an honor to be here with you always. Once again, I think the last time we came together, it was about when women succeed, America succeeds, and that's still part of our theme. Mr. President, President Grissom, thank you for your great leadership here at Santa Fe Community College. And yes, if my coming here brings rain, any excuse will do for me to come to Santa Fe or to come to New Mexico, the land of enchantment, aptly named. So whether it's for weather or whatever, I'm happy to come. Kathy, thank you for your wonderful words about Mr. Ben Ray Luján. I know how respected he is in the community here. I want you to know how respected he is in the Congress. It's especially wonderful to be here with his mother, Carmen. And one thing he didn't say about Speaker Luján introducing the bill, passing the bill to establish Santa Fe Community College, it was that it won by one vote. It took leadership. It took courage. And it got the job done. Thank you to the Luján family for that and so many other things. It's clear listening to August, what more can anyone say? What better testimonial to an institution than to hear a student speak to it in such a beautiful way? It's clear also that although he may be the first in his family to receive a college degree, what he brings to this institution is clear that there were others who went before him in his family who clearly could have had that opportunity. And if it's a financial consideration, that's really harmful, not only to the individuals, but to our country. So how do we pay for all of this? I'll get to that in a moment. But first, I want to thank all of you for sending Ben Ray to the Congress. Again, as a member of the Energy and Commerce Committee, he's just a spectacular voice for the future, for innovation, for entrepreneurship, for everything that you do here at the school. His legislative agenda is one that is in furtherance of all of that. The respect he commands there, he's a no-nonsense guy. If he's suggesting it, people listen, and they take heed and they help him. In a nonpartisan way, I might add, in that regard. So I intended to come up here and talk to you about what I saw today. But I really want to enlarge it for a moment to say, beyond the technicalities of what I saw today, because I would shortly demonstrate my limitations doing that. It was so spectacular, so new, so wonderful. But what I also saw was a spirit of what the president said. President Obama said this, and I'm going to tell him when we go home what we saw here. Wait, not home. Home is where we live. Washington is where we work. So when we go there again, President Obama said, community colleges are the unsung heroes of the nation's education system, providing a gateway to millions of Americans to good jobs and a better life. What institution demonstrates that better than Santa Fe Community College so beautifully? And that is in the context of when we talk about our budget, which we are debating right now in the Congress, being a statement of values. It's important to remember that nothing brings more money to the Treasury than the education of the American people, whether it's early childhood education, which President Grissom showed me is happening right here on this campus, earliest child, or K through 12, higher education, post-grad, important part of it, lifetime learning. All of that is happening. So much of that is happening on this campus. It's the best investment a family can make in its children and its family members. Sometimes it's not just the children, it's parents going back, and I know you have a large number of older people here on the camp, probably in their late 20s or something like that, but nonetheless. And it is, in fact, how to keep America number one. It's not just about the aspirations, but that would be justification enough, because that is so fundamental to our democracy that we have education available to all Americans. But it is how we keep America number one. Clearly, from what August has said, innovation begins in the classroom. And here you see a classroom that has facilities, whether it was welding, whether it's everything that we saw today, which has already been reviewed. What's important about it all is that this is really a model to the country. And I can go back and say all the things that we argued for in the budget, they really are working. They really are working, and here's one place where they're working in such a forward way. Transformational, I would say, Zubi. And it is also a situation where entrepreneurship springs from it. And that entrepreneurship is really the lifeblood of our economy. And it's a place where veterans, Cheney, it's such a joy to see you here, or Cheney, where veterans find a place to make their contribution and the rest, and enrich the student body by their presence. Thank you, Santa Fe Community College, for opening that door to our veterans. Thank you, Cheney, for your service to our country. The thing about all of this, whether it's in the private sector and business, and we saw Caterpillar, I don't know if Caterpillar's still, but other private sector entities saying how they would be hiring some of the students who are trained here by showing what they need in the private sector. But in any event, whether it's private sector or educational institutions or whatever it is, talent attracts capital. Capital provides the facilities. Facilities attract talent. It's just this circle. So having a model like this that shows with the ingenuity of, Cheney was telling me they built the greenhouse from a kit, and then it has enabled all of this other science to emerge, Eric described to us. So it's a remarkable connection, all of it, that it's happening here, that the connection to the Luján family is such a clear one, is almost an emotional experience for me, but the fact that he will be able to take all of that back. Now, there's something you should know about Ben Ray that we may not have talked about before. Since you may have seen him, he is now part of the Democratic leadership of the House of Representatives. He is the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. He is in the leadership because he commands so much respect from our members for all the reasons that you know and that we talked about earlier. He talked about middle-class economics, to lift up the people of our country, not only the middle class, but those who aspire to it. Community colleges are a central part of that. So when Ben Ray, leadership, education, entrepreneurship, honoring our veterans, innovation, it's all connected, and to do it in a beautifully recognizing the beautiful diversity of America. We couldn't be better served or better led than Ben Ray Luján, so I thank you for sending him here. And I thank you, Mr. President, for all that you are doing here. It's so remarkable. I've seen things that are transformational. I can't wait to go back to tell our colleagues about it and hopefully raise the capital to help continue this. But thank you for being a model to the nation. I'm proud to be here with you.
So we have some time to take a few questions from our friends in the media. I know that we have the Santa Fe New Mexican here with the Journal, our friends from Univision, KSFR, one of our very own radio stations located right here at Santa Fe Community College. So any questions that you may have? Inez? Well, so we just asked. So we were fortunate that the leader was willing to come out to New Mexico, and we're also here. We have people from around the United States that have come to New Mexico this weekend, so we can talk about the path forward, making sure that we're talking about middle class economics around the United States, that it's a staple of what we're talking about around the dinner table. And look, middle class economics is about putting milk in the refrigerator, eggs, bread, maybe saving a little bit of money at the end of the month to help get your kids through college, and making sure that's really a staple of what we're talking about across America, especially with the family that I grew up in. But I'll tell you, the leader has just been extraordinary, making sure that we're able to get to all parts of the United States, and we're very fortunate to have her here in New Mexico this week.
I can't even count how many times I've been to New Mexico over the years, so maybe I'll go back and try to figure it out. But any invitation I accept and initiate some of my own, whether it's personally, politically, or officially, to come here. It's such a wonderful place, and clearly what I came here and saw today was the future.
Can you tell us a bit more about this meeting taking place this weekend, who's participating and how it's working?
Well, again, we have guests from around the country. We have members of Congress that will be coming to visit on different topics, but middle class economics will be center stage. I'm sure that we're going to be talking about as well the Voting Rights Act, the 50th anniversary of Selma. I had the honor of being with the leader and John Lewis, Jim Clyburn, for the commemoration.
President Obama.
And President Obama. What an amazing words that he shared, but I think the leader captures a sentiment that she shares with so many across the United States, with words that were shared that day as well. And it's centering about how we can make sure we're moving together, to stand together for all of the working people all across America, and to make the country stronger. Again, putting middle class economics ahead of trickle down economics.
If I just may add to that, I'm excited about all of it because it's connected. Fairness in our economy, middle class economics versus trickle down economics. But the voting rights piece of this is a very central piece for the following reason. It's the 50th anniversary, you all know that. The crossing the bridge in Selma, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, was a bridge to the ballot. Leading up to that time, Reverend Martin Luther King always talked about the ballot, the ballot, the ballot, being the path to legislation to improve the lives of people, to make the middle class stronger and pull more people up into the middle class. The ballot, the ballot, the ballot. This 50th anniversary gives us the opportunity to, under the leadership of not only our chairman, Mr. Ben Ray Luján, but also Mr. Clyburn, who's going to be here, and John Lewis, who's going to be here, and Barbara Lee will have a conference or seminar or whatever this evening on this subject, because only 1/3 of the electorate voted in the last election. And there has to be a way for us to say to people, this is why this is important in your lives. Decisions that are made at the legislative table affect you. Walter Reuther said the bread box and the ballot box cannot be separated. If you win at the negotiating table, what you win there can be removed by elections and those who do not share the view about America's working families. But it's really important for another reason, and that is the increased involvement of more people in the electoral process is the most wholesome thing we can do for our country, but it also slams the use of big money in politics, and that is what we have to do for our democracy. Empower people more, have more people see the connection between their lives, the ballot box, and decisions that are made after, as well as reducing the role of money, reducing the skepticism that the American people have about how strong their voice is in the political process. Ben Ray Luján is the perfect person to bring all of that together. His commitment to middle-class economics, his appreciation for expanding the vote to many more people, and again, his effectiveness in getting the job done. So thank you for planning this conference.
Fully subsidized community college for the first 2 years. Have any traction?
It's hard. That is the president's proposal, and it is something that should happen. I don't want to turn this into a political conversation, but we have a fight about these kinds of things. You would think a budget would be a statement of our national values. What is important to us as a country should be where we put our assets. And by the way, I hearken back to what I said before. Nothing reduces the deficit more because it brings more money to the Treasury than the education of our American people. So the investment in community colleges and reducing the cost, what Ben Ray said was true about what we did, but much of that has expired. And what we're trying to do is to renew it. And the fight that we have in the battle of the budget is a reduction in a commitment to Pell Grants. They want to freeze the amount of money for Pell Grants for 10 years. For 10 years, thereby limiting the number of people who could access a Pell Grant, and also how much money that Pell Grant will be for a family. And sometimes that difference makes the difference of a person going to higher education or not. So we think the 2-year is the most logical thing that you can do. It may happen in some states before it happens nationally because of the battle of budget that we have there. But again, it saves money, as do Pell Grants, as do reducing the cost of student loans. And Ben Ray referred to it. It frees people, it liberates people if they don't have this anvil. I call it the anvil of student debt. This anvil of student debt, so they can be entrepreneurial, they can take risks. August talked about discovery and invention and that entrepreneurial spirit that he has. If a student has all of that and massive debt, they have to make choices that are quite different than if they didn't. And as I say, as a mother of 5 children, they might even get married. I mean, take risks, go out there. What could be more of a risk than starting a small business? What requires more optimism than maybe getting married. But in any event, it frees them to have choices, and options are what we want the American people to have.
Thank you. We have time for one more, Mr. Oswald. Mark? Oh, very good. Well, then, one more?
Can you speak a little bit about the role of women and girls in creating this middle class and your agenda for women's economic empowerment?
The question is, can I speak more about the role of women and girls in growing the economy, expanding the economy? Yes. When I was in, I don't know if it was the last time, but a recent time when I was in New Mexico, we talked about when women succeed, America succeeds. And it really is very important for our economy to understand that. Other countries do. When the Prime Minister of Japan was in Davos last year, they asked him, how are you going to turn your economy around? He said, the involvement of women in our economy. The president of Colombia was in my office. He said, we have a secret to grow our economy. I said, will you share it with us? He said, the involvement of women in our economy. It's really so important. But for it to happen, we have to recognize that some changes have to happen. We have to have affordable quality child care. We have to have paid sick leave. We have to have equal pay for equal work so that women can really thrive in the economy. But you can't say our country is going to grow and be great, but we're going to limit the involvement of half the people in our country and accept that. Now, it doesn't mean that women are smarter or better or anything. It just means the beauty is in the mix. Having women at the table is very important. And I would extend that to women and minorities at the table. That's our country. that decision-making should happen with a full participation. But we know, we have the facts, the figures, the data, the analysis, and all the rest of it. If you have involved more women at every level, whether it's in our military, Cheney, whether it's in the academic world, whether it's in corporate America, the more women in leadership, the better. And of course, when it comes to government and politics, the most wholesome thing that we can do is to have more women appointed, elected, and not only having a seat at the table, but having a seat at the head of the table. And that's why I'm so proud that in our caucus, we are a majority of women, minorities, and LGBT community folks. That's our caucus. It's a majority of that beautiful mix, A. B, not only there, but in our leadership of the people who would be chairs. In other words, when Ben Ray leads us to victory, those ranking members will be chairs. The majority of people who would be chairs are women, minorities, LGBT. So it's a pretty exciting thing because, again, not only a seat at the table, but a seat at the head of the table. And leading us all in all that is Ben Ray Luján. So.
Thank you, man. And if everyone could give me again, help me thank Randy Grisham, Kathy Keith, August, Isaiah, Cheney, and everyone that helped us today again. And thank you, Madam Leader, for having us today. Thanks, everybody.